Hi, I'm U.S. Congressman Brian Babin, and I proudly represent Texas's 36th District. As the representative of a rural East Texas district, I'm also a proud member of the Western Caucus and fully committed to advancing the caucus's key principles of protecting private property, promoting domestic energy production, strengthening local control, and eliminating federal impediments to job growth. To that end, I wholeheartedly support and continue to lead efforts to reform the Endangered Species Act, or the ESA. In the 1970s, 8-track cassettes, Atari video games, and the Endangered Species Act were all new and cutting edge. These were the best that we could do at the time. In 2017, 8-tracks and Ataris are obsolete, but the Endangered Species Act and its duplicative and outdated regulations of non-native species remain. Simply put, it is long overdue for reforms. Since international regulatory bodies such as the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, or CITES, were brand new in the early 70s, the U.S. Endangered Species List included non-native species to encourage some protection of these animals and their habitats abroad. Fast forward to today, and CITES is an incredibly robust international organization with nearly 200 member countries. CITES provides the foundation for international trade regulations that involve endangered species. In fact, the listing of non-native species on the ESA isn't just duplicative and unnecessary, it is actually harmful to conservation efforts for non-native species. Through modern, multi-pronged approaches, such as the use of captive populations and consideration of genetic diversity, we can do better than the archaic 1973 law that placed severe restrictions on interstate movement and effectively created genetic islands within each state. And that's why I have been a leading supporter of H.R. 2603, the SAVES Act, which will enhance conservation of endangered species by allowing for improved genetic diversity among captive populations previously isolated by arbitrary geographic lines. We know that these captive populations are critical to modern conservation. They serve as insurance against catastrophic events that can wipe out entire wild populations. The SAVES Act will decrease federal spending through elimination of at least $1.5 million in unnecessary regulation, while giving regulatory authority back to states and allowing states, rather than federal bureaucrats, to determine requirements for interstate movement of these species. The SAVES Act will also increase commerce and economic opportunity through deregulation of these species. CITES will continue to regulate international movement of these unique species, and the SAVES Act will enhance animal welfare by allowing more animals to potentially meet the criteria for monitoring under the Animal Welfare Act. The SAVES Act is a key component to the Western Caucus's principles of protecting private property, strengthening local control, and promoting economic growth, while truly enhancing conservation of endangered species, and is the kind of conservative reform that we can all get behind. So let's take the handcuffs off of American conservation efforts and work together to save endangered species. Thank you, and may God bless.